Memories of war can be difficult for any veteran to deal with, but women serving in a combat zone face a different set of challenges. For years, some women from the Piedmont who served in the Persian Gulf didn't want to talk about the trauma until they realized dealing with the past could help the future. Natalie Wilson tells us how they're now giving other female combat veterans a safe place to get help.
I used to tell people just because I didn't miss a bullet or shoot someone don't mean I wasn't in a combat zone.
It's still very hard for me, even after all these years.
It was a different world back then.
Back in 1980s, most of the people that joined the military, the last thing that on our mind was war.
And for two young women, their worlds would shift dramatically.
So when I received that call, it was a big shock.
At just 21 and 18 years old, Sandra Robinson and Michelle Turner were on a flight in a foreign country, now soldiers in Operation Desert Storm.
Oh, it was a very scary moment. I don't even know what other words to put in it. I was terrified as an 18-year-old female.
They served in the 846 Transportation Company.
We actually drove 18-wheelers, and that meant that we were going to be 8 hours behind the ground troops, supplying them with food, ammo, and that was a big job.
They weren't fully prepared for what they would experience.
At that age, to have to see a dead body.
They served our country, and when the mission was over, they did their best to return to life as they knew it.
So I returned back to college. There was no transition program. There was no program to say, hey, maybe you need to talk about what you went through, what you've seen.
In 2017, Sandra and Michelle launched Combat Female Veterans Families United, a nonprofit to help deployed women and their families transition after war.
Wow. 20 years later, they're still dealing with some of the same exact things.
Sarah Charles served in combat zones in Kuwait and Iraq from 2008 to 2010.
It's been very, very uplifting for me because it helped me to kind of cope with my PTSD, and I help other people who actually, needs help.
Including their sisters who didn't serve in war zones, but experienced a different type of trauma.
It's not as easy for women to come forth and express that I have just been sexually assaulted, not once, but numerous times.
She says Sandra was a big help when she hit roadblocks claiming benefits.
She stepped in financially to help my family out tremendously. Christmas presents, food, brought those things in because we didn't know how long the waiting period was going to be for the VA, to get the paperwork passed.
Through open doors and open hearts, the group is reminding their fellow female soldiers that their lives matter.
My physical, my emotional, and my spiritual being have all taken a beating out of that situation. And with her and the organization, it's kind of helped mend me back together.
The organization is fully operated by women who've served in combat zones, and as part of its overseas outreach, Combat Female Veterans Families United has sent more than 150 care packages to women who are deployed.
Well, I knew it was an honorable thing. I didn't want to let him down.